Remember that anatomical terminology from the question check is due tomorrow at 11:59. So let's go back to the PowerPoint and let's keep going. For a chemical reaction to start and finish, you have to reach the activation energy. Enzymes are protein catalysts that reduce the activation energy and promote reactions. So if you look at a graph of time versus energy, you'll notice that to take sugar and break it down into carbon dioxide and water, you have to get it to a certain energy level by heating it. In the body, an enzyme can break down sucrose at a much lower energy, and that's the activation energy. Without enzymes, it takes much more energy to break down, for instance, sucrose into carbon dioxide and water. So you may know that if you put some sugar in a pot, turn it on, it gets hot enough, it'll break down and release carbon dioxide and water, and all that's left is carbon, black, sticky carbon. We don't need to know about that. Know what nutrients are, metabolites. Anything that lacks carbon and hydrogen is a inorganic molecule such as water. Organic molecules contain carbon and hydrogen, such as sugars, proteins, and fats, and that's what we're going to go through right now. Carbon dioxide and oxygen are considered inorganic. Cells produce CO2, get rid of it by breathing out. You breathe in oxygen to be able to break down food and get the energy and release carbon dioxide. Water is very important. It's a universal solvent that has a very high heat capacity. It takes place, it's part of many reactions. This high heat capacity is directly related to the fact that the oceans, with the vast amount of water, absorbs an enormous amount of heat. But the ocean can only absorb so much. So if you guys want to have a future for you and your kids, vote for the people who are worried about climate problems because they're happening. Everybody sees it. Imagine what it's like to drive away from your home in California and look at the rearview mirror, and your home is completely being obliterated because it's being burnt, so that everything in your home is destroyed. Imagine that you were burnt to death in a California fire or an Oregon fire. Vote for the people who believe in climate change. Water dissolves ionic bonds. So when you put salt in water, the positive side of the water attracts the chlorides. The negative pole attracts the sodium. Look at the direction. The hydrogen molecules are very close to chloride. They're far away when the sodium is attracted by the negative pole. So water can dissociate or break ionic bonds. Most of our body is water. Proteins are the key components of cells. Nucleic acids are genetic material, and our messenger RNA work to allow chemical instructions to be implemented in the body. The chemical instructions are DNA. The implementation of the instructions is carried by messenger RNA, and messenger RNA is the fundamental component of the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines. Acids release hydrogen in solution. Bases release hydroxide and react with the acid proton. This is called the hydrogen ion, the acid proton. So what it is hydrogen has lost one electron to chloride in this case. So this is hydrochloric acid. So acids release hydrogen ion into solution. Bases remove that hydrogen by taking H plus and hydroxide and making water. You should know that pH is a measure of how much hydrogen is in a solution. If it's below 7, it's acid. If it's above 7, it's basic. So the pH scale goes from 1 to 14. Something that's less than 7, something that's 1 is very acidic, very basic if it's around 13. Notice that the number of hydrogen increases as you drop the number. The concentration of hydroxide increases as the pH goes up. So blood is between 7.35 and 7.45 on the chemical level. Your body has to maintain by homeostasis, has to maintain a pH of around 7.35 to 7.45. That's what I just said. Chemical reactions, if the pH is going up, hydrogen ions are released to drop the pH. If the pH is dropping, hydrogen ions are being absorbed. So as you remove hydrogen ions, the pH goes back up. Remember, pH measures the concentration of hydrogen ions on the acid proton and so on. Salts are electrolytes. They collect, well, they have positive ions, negative ions. These are called cations. These are called cations. These are cations, and these are anions. CATIONS, ANIONS, positive and negative ions. These electrolytes carry electrical currents in the body that are constantly happening in muscle activity and nerve activity. So these electrolytes in the body allow electrical signals to allow our nerves to work and our muscles to work. And overall, all cells maintain the inside of the cells is negative and the outside is positive. Let's stop there, and then we'll move on with organic compounds. So if we go back here, we'll stop recording.